Hello, Professor and class. This is Giovanni. Today, I will discuss four alternative dispute resolution methods: early neutral evaluation, dispute resolution boards, mini trials, and summary jury trials. For each, I will summarize a textbook, summarize a peer-reviewed journal article, explain similarities, and discuss how the articles expand on the topics. I will conclude with a news article and its relevance. Our textbook describes early neutral evaluation, or E&Es, as a process used in cases like personal injury or employment discrimination. A court-appointed neutral party, usually a lawyer, reviews submissions, hears each side, evaluates strengths and weaknesses, and provides a non-binding opinion about likely court outcomes. E&Es encourages early settlement, reduces unnecessary litigation, and offers a realistic appraisal of risk. Shah and Hassan examined E&Es in the context of Malaysia and argued that it supports mediation in complex disputes. They define E&E as a confidential, non-binding, evaluative process where a neutral party predicts likely court outcomes. Now, both the textbook and the article emphasize the structure, early assessment, and the neutral party's role in evaluating cases' strengths and weaknesses. However, the article expands on E&Es by highlighting its integration with mediation, its early timing, often within 30 to 150 days, and the possibility of using subject matter expert or panels rather than just lawyers. This shows E&Es as more flexible and strategically designed than the textbook alone suggests. Our textbook explains that dispute resolution boards, or DRBs, are used in large infrastructure projects. A panel of experts is jointly selected, meets regularly, and issues non-binding rulings. Now, the purpose is to identify risks early, prevent escalation, and reduce litigation. Cambriff argues that DRBs are proactive mechanisms embedded in construction contracts. Even well-drafted contracts generate disputes, and DRBs provide early intervention before litigation becomes necessary. Boards are typically composed of three experienced professionals and are formed at the beginning of the project. Now, both the textbook and the article emphasize expert oversight and risk prevention. However, the article expands by detailing board selection procedures and financial impact. Cambriff explains that DRBs are typically used in projects over $10 million and cost approximately 0.05% of total project value, while preventing disputes that could cost potentially millions of dollars in litigation. The textbook describes mini trials as a voluntary, structured, non-binding hearings used primarily in business and contract disputes. Each party presents a condensed case before decision makers and a neutral advisor. Discovery is limited, timelines are shortened, and costs are significantly lower than litigation. Edelman and Carr analyzed how the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers adopted mini trials to address costly contract litigation that lasted 2 to 4 years. They describe mini trials as a structured negotiation process blending elements of mediation and arbitration. Both the textbook and the article highlight efficiency and cost savings. However, the article expands by detailing procedures such as formal agreements, confidentiality, limited discovery, and defined hearing structures. The depth of procedural explanation in the article is far more comprehensive than the textbook alone. Now, our textbook describes a summary jury trial as a non-binding, abbreviated jury proceeding held before a full trial. Its purpose is to show how a jury might react, encourage settlement, reduce trial risk, and preserve the right to litigate if necessary. The Harvard Law Review examines whether mediation and summary jury trials should be mandatory. The article argues that legislators should authorize courts to require participation in these ADRs processes. It emphasizes that mandatory ADRs do not eliminate the right to trial, but instead, it simply requires parties to attempt a consensual resolution before proceeding to adjudication. Now, both the textbook and the article describe the structure and purpose of summary jury trials, particularly how they provide insight into how a jury might respond and encourage settlement. However, the article expands on the topic by examining constitutional concerns, inconsistencies in judicial authority, and the broader systemic implications of mandatory ADRs. It highlights benefits such as integrative bargaining, preservation of ongoing relationship, and reduced court congestion. Oh, almost forgot. And faster case resolution. Now, the news article that I chose called DARBs, which stand for Dispute, Avoidance, and Resolution Boards. However, they are one and the same. The news article highlights how dispute boards minimize disruption, control costs, and preserve relationships on complex construction projects. It reports that DRBs typically cost between 0.05% and 0.25% of a total project's value. For a $100 million project, for example, that translates to approximately $50,000 to $250,000, which is a lot significantly less than the potential cost of litigation. These findings reinforce both Camper's article and the textbook emphasis on efficiency and cost control. Now, what I found most interesting was the focus on preserving relationships and reputations. The article makes it clear that DRBs are not only financially practical but also strategically valuable in maintaining long-term professional partnerships. These are my references in case anyone would like to read my articles that I looked up. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time. God bless.